It was a Friday evening in Houston, Texas, and the dining room of the Bayou Grill was bustling with activity. Located in the heart of downtown, the Bayou Grill was one of the more upscale dining establishments in the city, famous for its signature Cajun dishes, seafood platters, and carefully curated wine list. Its reputation had grown steadily over the years, attracting not only food lovers, but also high-profile clientele. The restaurant was part of a large restaurant empire, owned by none other than Tilman Fertitta, a billionaire businessman with a significant influence on the restaurant and hospitality industry. On this particular evening, Tilman Fertitta, dressed casually in a sharp suit and dark sunglasses, had decided to dine at the Bayou Grill. Despite his wealth and fame, he liked to occasionally slip under the radar and enjoy the anonymity that came with being just another guest at one of his own establishments. He believed in experiencing his businesses like any other customer would, because it was the best way to assess how things were truly running. But little did he know tonight would become an unforgettable experience for one of his staff members, and not for the reasons anyone would have hoped. Samantha, a young and ambitious waitress in her mid-20s, had only been working at the Bayou Grill for a couple of months. She was friendly, eager, and had aspirations of working her way up the restaurant industry ladder. However, like many new employees in the service industry, Samantha had a bit of a confidence problem. She often felt she needed to prove herself, sometimes at the expense of the guests, even if it meant making bold comments or offering unsolicited advice. She prided herself on knowing the menu inside and out, and assumed that anyone who didn't pick her recommended dishes was making a mistake. It was the kind of attitude that sometimes rubbed people the wrong way, especially when she made a judgment about what people should order based on their appearance, or, in this case, their demeanor. As she made her rounds through the busy restaurant, Samantha spotted a lone man sitting at a table in the corner. He was dressed in a well-tailored suit, his salt and pepper hair neatly combed, and his sunglasses gave him an air of cool detachment. From his relaxed posture, it was clear that he wasn't interested in drawing attention to himself. To Samantha, though, he looked like just another business executive dining solo, probably on a business trip or an after-work meal. She approached the table with her usual perkiness, ready to charm him with her knowledge of the menu. "Good evening, sir," she greeted with a warm smile. "Welcome to the Bayou Grill. My name's Samantha, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you off with a drink?" Tilman, glancing at the menu, smiled back politely, but wasn't in the mood for small talk. "I'll have a glass of your house Pinot Noir," he said, keeping it simple. Samantha, though, wasn't one to accept easy choices. She looked down at the wine list and smiled knowingly, ready to share her expertise. "Well, the Pinot Noir is good, but I really think you'd enjoy something more robust. Our Merlot has a really full-bodied flavor. It pairs perfectly with our grilled salmon and shrimp scampi," she suggested, her tone bordering on condescending. "If you're looking for something more bold, I'd recommend that." Tilman, who was a fan of simplicity and didn't want to argue, smiled again. "I'll stick with the Pinot Noir, thanks." But Samantha wasn't done. She leaned in a little closer and glanced at his menu. "I see you're considering the salmon," she said. "But honestly, that's pretty plain. You're in Houston. You should really try the Cajun-style ribeye or the lobster tail, something with a bit more flavor and flair. If you're not into spicy, though, I guess the salmon will do. But I just don't see the excitement in it." Tilman's smile remained, but the subtle condescension in Samantha's words wasn't lost on him. He had been to many fine restaurants all over the world, and he knew exactly what he wanted. This wasn't the first time he'd been given unsolicited advice, but it was the first time it had come with such a tone. Still, he decided to let it slide. After all, Samantha was just trying to do her job, albeit in a rather misguided way. "Salmon it is," he said. "I'll trust you on that." As Samantha walked away to place the order, she felt a sense of satisfaction. She had assumed that, like many guests, Tilman would thank her for her advice and that he would be impressed by her knowledge. In her mind, it was all part of her charm. However, what Samantha didn't know was that the man she had just insulted was no ordinary customer. He was the owner of the Bayou Grill, the very restaurant she worked for, Tilman Fertitta. And he wasn't just a successful businessman, he was the man who had built the restaurant empire from the ground up, with an eye for detail and a fired,